Security is about everyone in the organization. Therefore, each single employee has to be aware about how to protect sensitive and confidential information. In order to avoid any disruption in the CI triad, or if you remember, is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Hence, in order to approach this situation, most of the organizations have to establish roles in order to take care of this. Some of the roles that an organization could have are data custodians, data users, data owners, system owners, auditors, data custodians. This role provides hands-on protection of assets. Individuals having this role have to perform backups and data restoration, or even patching and configuration of software such as antiviruses. The custodians follow orders and they don't make critical decisions on how the data or system is protected. For example, the data owner might dictate how often the data has to be back up or restored, and then the custodian has to follow the orders and deploy the backups to run at a specific time. Data users. This covers the majority of the individuals in the organization because these are who are working day to day with the information and perform tasks with it. Due to the fact that they have daily interaction with the information, they have to be trained and made aware about policies, procedures, and standards that the organization follows in order to protect properly the information in the assets. Data owners. They are also called the information owners, and they ensure that the data is always secure. They determine the sensitivity labels of the assets, and if the information needs to be backed up, they determine how frequently this has to be done. In a few words, they only concentrate about protecting the data and not the systems where this is located. System owners, they are actually responsible for the computers that keep the data, including hardware and software. Their task also includes software configurations, updates, and patches. They have to be always sure that the hardware is physically secure. However, hands-on responsibility is delayed to data custodians. As you can see, the system's owner concern is to protect the platform or in where the data lives, software and hardware, meaning that, well, the data owners only care about the data itself. Auditors. The role of the auditor is to constantly check that everyone is doing everything correctly and whatever is supposed to do um, is done. Okay. At the same time, they ensure that the controls are always in place and properly maintained. Their main scope is to have the organization always compliant with security policies, laws, and standards, and etc. In some scenarios, auditors are seen as the bad people. However, they play a very important role due to they could spot things that are not correct in the organization, and this could potentially expose the organization to any risk or threat. So they ensure that everything is in place. Not all the organizations define these roles, or they could name it differently. However, it is important to define a structure that sets roles and responsibilities when assets are handled. This certainly improves the security implementation of the organization due to it defines a good structure. This is an example that perhaps explains a little bit better the ownership in the different companies or organizations. So we have the system owner, we have the users, we have the data owners, and data custodians. So the first one is the system owner. So as you can see, this is working closely with the server. This is working with this hardware and software. So this ensures that everything is working fine correctly. On the other side, we have the users. The users are the ones that are dealing with the information every day. These are the ones that I mentioned before that have to be trained properly in security policies and in order to have a proper handling on the information. And then we have the data owners, and these are the ones that are dictate how the data is going to be handled. So they determine the labels of security of confidentiality. So if this is confidential information or not confidential information, the data owners determine that. and data custodians. So these are the ones that are taking orders from the data owners. So if you remember this, if the data owner dictates that that data has to be backup every 2 days, the data custodian is the one performing the backup. So this explains a little bit more about how the system owner, users, and data owners and custodians interact to each other with the information.